All right, everyone. Welcome to yet another Winchester Wednesdays. I'm your host, Winchester 572, and we are getting started here tonight. We're back on our reading night, so we've got yet another wonderful chapter here for all you wonderful folks. We're finally getting into the Dale Ponies area. So yes, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. Should be a very fun experience for all of us. So, without further ado, let us all get into the call. Hello, call.
In the call.
Wait, where am I?
We never left the call. It's like the Twilight Zone in here.
I think
need an
Sora's still
adult.
eating.
Yeah,
I am.
so Sora can continue munching while we get through intros and.
I knew I
whatnot.
spotted that video.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why in your recommends there was the Shia LaBeouf.
So
I saw Johnny Cash.
okay, Johnny Cash is okay. That's a great music video, but
Yes. I hate. It sucks the fact that he stole the music when he redid it, but still,
he didn't really steal it.
it's an illegal cover. That's all. But it's still good.
I was
It's
gonna
still
say the
freaking
people who
better.
made the original really like it, so they don't really care. But
I hear
whatever.
Johnny Cash songs every time I have Taco Bell. Ring of Fire.
Oh boy. Yeah, sounds about right. So, anyways, without further ado, let's get into introductions. So, starting off, we have my wonderful co-host, Crazy Matt Captain.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yep. My roommate's gonna hate all of us now. Alrighty, and next up, our wonderful fanfic editor, Double R Force.
Okay, so I took off my socks, I took off my shirt, and I took off my pants. Do I need to keep the underwear on or not?
Okay, there was no point into doing that. Anyways, next on to Razzle, our wonderful stream secretary.
Save me.
There is no saving.
You're drowning
actually
so deep in
Queen's-
the darkness. Alrighty. And next up, we have one of our wonderful game helpers, Commander something.
Razzle, I got a pickaxe. If you take the shovel, we might be able to get out of here.
Here's the hope.
And now our wonderful sheriff that'll hopefully help keep us in line. We have Forrest Rain, our narrator.
I'm a sheriff now? Sweet.
Yes, you are sheriff now.
Wait, so I get to become a citizen of the US and then immediately become a sheriff?
Yeah, that sounds like how it works.
You got an
Seems like-
inside bit with some inside friends.
Yes, you did. And our wonderful Australian from down under, Lycan.
I shot the sheriff with a cannon because it's slightly better than Nikon.
But did you shoot the deputy?
If you shot the
Apparently
sheriff,
not.
then we don't have a narrator anymore.
Ah, shit.
No, like I said, I used the cannon and then put it
Way
through
to go,
Instagram at least.
genius.
Yeah, but he shot me with a DSLR.
Exactly.
I'm still alive, y'all.
Oh,
And then later
are you
on, I even
really-
framed
are-
her.
Jesus.
Can you be sure you still have your soul?
Nope.
she never
Why
had
do
a
I come
soul.
here every Wednesday?
Namaste.
And because she just spoke, we also have Sora here. Hopefully finishing
Why
her
do I
food.
come here every Wednesday? Yeah, I just finished. It was good chili. But why?
Because I tell you to?
Okay.
What you
Have
should
no
do is
self-care.
you should take the rest of your dinner, put it outside on the lawn because then it'll be chilly outside.
Can we?
I
can we
can't even
shoot
be
him
mad at
instead?
that one because that was actually really good.
It still hurts.
No, I mean, I can just shoot everyone.
Oh, well, let me see myself out.
Trigger happy every day.
But yes, no, I hope is everybody having a good time?
I have to sing today. What do you think?
Hey, I get to sing too.
I was gonna say, if you need me to take over
That
that
makes
part,
it
if we
worse.
have the tune, I can sing that for you, so you don't have to worry about it.
It's that walking song from Lord of the Rings. The road goes ever on and on. I put it. I put the link a little bit upwards in the fanfic planning chat.
Oh, I can't see that chat.
Oh,
Oh well then. Don't. Actually, it's
yes,
not in that
only
one.
the
It's in
people
reading
who are doing the planning for fanfics can see that one. The reading active is for all of our voice actors.
Should I just go
I mean,
ahead and put it? No, reading active. No, it's in reading active.
Is
My
it?
mistake. Yeah, scroll up a bit. It's a
Just
Thankfully,
repost it.
Okay, hold on.
And either
Yeah.
way, I can do it. It's probably not going to be anywhere exactly to what it's on there, but I can try.
Yeah, that's fine.
Feel like
We-
this. Feel like this is one of those things that we probably should have figured out before the show started.
Well, I thought everybody knew.
Nope.
I thought that was passed along by now.
Nope.
But you find it, Sora?
I mean, I get to sing as well, and the even better part is I didn't know there was a song that goes with it until just now. So
Yep, and I can't even hear the lyrics in that song anyway, so it doesn't.
Okay, thanks, Forest Rain. She just
There.
and CMC provides it.
Oh,
It's a very
you,
simple melody.
I was just gonna repost it.
that
Although it
works.
looks like
Oh, get a gold
Toa
star.
found a different rendition.
Well,
Is it
all the
metal?
other ones were extended. We didn't need a long one.
I've got a long one.
Is that
On
footlong?
that bombshell.
It's gonna be a
thick.
long night.
You're telling me.
Extremely.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be a long night.
That's what she said.
Thick night.
Nothing.
All right. Miss Sheriff, do you want to take over?
Ms. Sheriff. Sure. So tonight we are going to continue reading It's a Dangerous Business Going Out Your Door by Jetfire 2012. Tonight, Double R will be playing Sharp Sound, Kit Cauldron, and Dale Pony. Commander Something will be playing Bread Pony and Dale Pony. Razzle will be playing Rarity and Bird Speak. Sora will be playing Rainbow Dash. Lycan will be playing Ashtail. CMC will be debuting as their indie metal prog metal band called Shield Maiden. Winchester will be playing Applejack, and I, Forest Rain, will be your narrator for tonight. Once again, this is It's a Dangerous Business Going Out Your Door by Jetfire 2012, Chapter 8. This morning, it was Rarity who awoke first, the light of dawn brushing her eyelids and causing them to flutter open. She yawned, stretching out and noting with annoyance that she'd forgotten to take off her saddlebags last night. They were currently weighing down her hindquarters and had given her a slight cramp. The white unicorn glanced through the grass in front of her. Applejack and Rainbow Dash were sleeping around the burned center of a fire pit. The sky blue Pegasus rolled over on her back, the orange earth pony snoring gently, curled up, her hat tipped over her face. Rarity thought that she looked extremely peaceful, free of worry and care. She rose to her hooves. She had a very interesting dream involving a fashion show in Nightmare Moon. What was it about this journey that was making her dream? She was doing it much more than she normally did.
Perhaps it's all the changing scenery. It's stimulating my imagination.
Her stomach gurgled.
It certainly seems to have stimulated my appetite, at least.
Rarity turned away from the fire pit and began to wander through the tall grass, experimentally nibbling on the tips of the blades as she went. The white unicorn had not gone far when a scent wafted through her nostrils.
Is that...
She waded through the grass, which was becoming taller. Cattails suddenly sprang up amid the grass around her, and the ground became spongy. Rarity parted a curtain of grass and found what she had smelled: a small pond, lonely and smooth amid the tall grass. It seemed to be filled with rainwater, as there was no stream feeding it. She walked to the edge, bent down, and gave it a sniff. The water was quite clear. A smile curled her lips. I haven't had a bath in days. It was no hot tub with lavender bath salts, but it was better than nothing, and she had sweated horribly yesterday. Applejack would have never allowed it. Too much wasted time, she would say. But Applejack was asleep, wasn't she? Slipping off her saddlebags, the white unicorn waded into the water, which came up to about mid-fetlock. Sitting back in it, she began to splash it across her body with her front hooves, delighting in the feel of the clear water across her coat. It was somewhat chilly, but with the sun already warming the fields, not unpleasantly cold. She started humming softly to herself, growing louder and louder as she moved across her body, dunking her hair in the water as well. In little time, she was singing.
The road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, and I must follow if I can.
But before she could sing more,
Pursuing it with eager hoofs until it joins some larger way. From where from many paths I will choose one that will lead me home someday.
Rarity turned around. Applejack was standing at the edge of the pond, smiling at her. A small sprig of grass was between her lips, making her resemble her brother. The unicorn waved her hoof at her.
Oh, good morning, darling. Come on in. The water's fine.
I think I'll pass, thank you kindly. I didn't know you knew that song.
Applejack. Every pony knows that song. I learned it in school from some coat on the playground.
Well, you look like you're about finishing up, so come on back. I gotta go wake Rainbow. We gotta get a move on.
All right.
Just as she had suspected, Applejack wanted to be on the move. Walking out of the water, she gave her mane and tail a shake. With no towels, she would have to settle for an air dry. Slipping her saddlebags back on, she opened the right one with magic and removed her hairbrush, using it to work on her mane as she walked back through the grass. Rainbow Dash was on her hooves when Rarity arrived at the fire pit, chewing energetically at the grass around her.
Morning.
Good morning, Rainbow Dash.
Rarity was feeling quite chipper. Her bath and a good night's sleep had done wonders for her mood.
I'm terribly sorry for falling asleep on you two. I was just so exhausted.
It's okay, Rarity.
Dash and Applejack had decided not to tell Rarity about the howl they had heard in the night. The sky blue Pegasus returned to her grass.
It just means you'll be ready for more galloping today.
Rarity frowned.
And are you going to be joining us in the galloping again?
Maybe. I might fly today. Some pony's got to keep an eye on our surroundings.
I don't see why you need altitude for that. Things around here are pretty flat, in case you haven't noticed.
Doesn't hurt to be able to see stuff far off, though, in case something's coming.
Applejack winced.
Something? Like what?
The sky blue Pegasus quickly realized her mistake.
Oh, like maybe the Gillido ponies. We wouldn't want to surprise them if they were supposed to be so afraid of strangers, right?
Rarity fluttered her long eyelashes, pondering this answer.
There's something she's not telling me.
She gave her mane another good swipe of the brush.
Alright then, it's not up to me, you decide. But I suppose it might be a good idea to have eyes in the sky.
Well, I'll start off on the ground and maybe switch to flying as we go.
Applejack slipped her saddlebags back on and tightened the straps with her mouth.
Well, I've already eaten. Are you ready, Rarity?
Just a moment.
She used her magic to open her saddlebag. Her mirror floated out, and she examined herself in it. Her mane was a bit unkempt, but for how little work she had been able to do to it, it still looked pretty good.
All right, let's be on our way.
With that, the three of them set off, using the rising sun behind them to ensure they remained on a westward course. Rarity was pleased to find that she was keeping pace easier today. Perhaps the long night's sleep had really done her that much good.
Or maybe I'm just getting more muscular.
She frowned at that.
Bulky is not in. Most decidedly not in.
She did her cardio thrice weekly to stay trim, of course, but she wanted no part of the muscles that wrapped up Applejack's legs, to say nothing of Rainbow Dash's lean, almost angular body. But when she thought about it, she realized you couldn't get bulky muscles from running. Of course not. So perhaps it was just her endurance that was improving. Whatever it was, at the moment she was just happy to not feel worn out. But then she remembered that muscle fatigue always hits hardest on the second day. Drat. A shadow wheeled overhead. She looked up. An eagle? Something beautiful and dark and decidedly birdy, that was for certain. It gave her an idea for a new dress.
I shall have to remember to sketch it when we stop for lunch. My, these wandering thoughts do make the time pass more quickly.
The plains rushed past them as they galloped. The grass was gradually getting shorter, seeming to be worn by more wind and perhaps more frequent hoof falls until it lowered to about mid-fetlock. Even now, there were no signs of development or civilization, the golden fields appearing as wild and untamed as they had from the trio's first glimpse of Gildedale. Perhaps the stone marker from before was a bare land claim. Perhaps the Dale ponies didn't actually live in the eastern portion of their country. It would help explain why they never seemed to venture into Equestria. The sun traveled rapidly across the sky, taunting them with its swift pace. Rainbow Dash glanced up, seeing it was already approaching its zenith.
We're not making good enough time.
She and Applejack weren't racing today, just galloping as fast as they could with comfort, and they seemed to be covering less ground. It was what she had feared from the beginning. Even at a relatively swift pace, their running was no match at all for flight. She had known that from the beginning, but this potent reminder of just how much time traveling on hoof wasted was grating at her. She couldn't calculate how much time it would take to reach the Archback Mountains at this pace. Math was never her forte, but she knew it was too much time for her liking. They were on the 5th day since Twilight Sparkle had been stricken with horn rot. They had 9 days left, and that was if they wanted to push their luck.
Just remember, in 5 days, if we're not close, you're going alone.
She was committed to the idea now. It made her run a little faster, because as much as she wanted to get the job done, she didn't like the idea of leaving her friends behind. She wanted to give Applejack and Rarity a chance to get there in time, and maybe they would. She hoped they would. By high noon, they decided to stop for lunch. The grass was still at mid-fetlock, so they had to do a bit more reaching and grazing to fill their bellies with coarse golden blades. Applejack roamed north, away from the others, nipping grass as she went. Then she bit into something that was most certainly not grass. It was too feathery and thin. Looking down more carefully, she saw a short stalk protruding thinly from amid the grass. It, too, was golden, but slightly browner than the grass that surrounded it. There were more like it, and as she looked further ahead, they crowded out the grass and grew taller and taller. It was
Wheat!
a tall outgrowth of wheat. Actually, a field of wheat, stretching away in front of her, springing abruptly from the middle of the rolling plains of grass. It wasn't quite the wheat she was used to, wild and rough, but it was wheat, and there was too much of it concentrated here for it to be an accident of the wind. Some pony had planted this. She turned and ran back through the fields.
Y'all, come here and look at this.
She had wandered farther away than she thought, but they were in a shallow between a few low hills, and she had a clear line of sight at Rarity and Rainbow Dash. They looked up at her approach.
Y'all won't believe what I...
She broke off. A low rumble had begun to vibrate in her chest.
Do y'all feel that?
The rumbling was getting stronger, and it was no longer merely felt.
I hear it.
What do you suppose it is? An earthquake?
Rainbow, go up and take a look.
Applejack was worried. What if the owner of that howl was coming? A sky-blue Pegasus blasted up into the sky, stopping in a hover high off the ground. Rarity and Applejack watched her twist this way and that, turning south, west, north, and then they saw her draw back in the air, body splaying spastically in evident shock. She bent over at the waist and dove back towards the ground, plummeting so fast Rarity worried she would crash. At the last moment, Dash pulled back into a hover, swirling the air around the two grounded ponies. A few more flaps brought her to the ground. Her rose-colored eyes were wide.
What is it?
What's wrong, Rainbow? What did you see?
Ponies.
What?
Before Dash could clarify, the rumbling rose dramatically in volume, a pulsing thunder through the air. It was coming from the north. The three ponies turned towards it, where a shallow hill crested. For a brief second, they saw a line of thin stalks appear over the hill. Then, they appeared. Bursting over the hilltop, powering through the grass, ponies. A steady, thundering stream of earth ponies came galloping over the hill. They were a neat group arranged in orderly rows, 5 ponies to a row except at the front. At the head of the procession was a row of 3 ponies, and ahead of them, a whole body's length ahead, 2 ponies galloped side by side, a dark red pony and a medium gray pony. The group was enormous, at least 100 strong by the time the last row cleared the hill. It took the 3 traveling ponies a moment to realize that the large group was headed their way.
Easy, girls. They're probably not looking for trouble.
Didn't you notice their spears, Applejack?
Applejack looked again. Sure enough, each pony had a long, stout spear mounted to a harness on their flank. As they advanced, the sight was like a moving forest of thin trees. As the ponies drew closer, Applejack also noticed that they all wore armor of dark red leather, stitched with red thread and streaked with the occasional trimming of gold. They were protected from head to neck to flank, to rump, with greaves around their lower legs. The leather cruppers protecting their flanks were emblazoned with the same spreading bundle of golden grass Applejack had seen on the stone marker.
They're headed right for us.
Do you think they see us?
The 2 ponies at the lead, the dark red and the gray, slowed their pace to a trot. The ponies in the columns behind them parted around them like a river parting around a rock, streaming in 2 channels at the same brisk pace. The streams rumbled around the 3 ponies and curved, and then all of them slowed to a trot, then a brisk walk, as they bent more sharply around. Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash realized as the earth ponies stopped that they were surrounded, encircled by 2 rows deep of armored ponies. Just in front of them, the dark red pony and the gray pony trotted through an opening in the circle, then slowed to a walk as they drew closer to the 3 travelers. The dark red pony appeared to be a colt, about a head taller than they. His eyes were deep blue, his mane and tail were light gray, flecked with streaks of charcoal. The gray pony was a filly. Her mane and tail were white, and her eyes were green. Looking around at the assembled ponies, Rarity noted that they seemed to be all earth colors, or neutral shades: brown, white, gray, black. Orange and red seemed to be the most vibrant colors present, and even those were muted. There was none of the pink and yellow and blue and green and more that she was used to seeing in Equestria. It gave the whole gathering a more serious feel than she was accustomed to with congregations of ponies.
The fact that they're armed and armored isn't helping matters, of course.
The dark red colt and the gray filly drew to a halt just in front of them. Still keeping her eyes open for details, Rarity noticed the colt's champron had a crest on it, between his ears. A golden circle, evidently supposed to be a compass, with markers for the 4 directions. The device had a silver arrow pointing to the right. He was evidently a leader, and he addressed them in a sharp, clear voice, slightly accented.
Unicorn! Pegasus! Birth Pony of Equestria, what is your business in Gildedale?
The 3 equestrian ponies were dumbfounded for a moment. Rarity gathered herself first.
Ah, when new ponies meet for the first time, introductions are generally the polite way to begin.
You are mistaken in assuming this meeting is a polite one. What is your business? Be quick about it.
Rainbow Dash snorted, frowned, and stepped forward.
Hey, jerk, why don't you tell us your name? Then I can tell you mine, and maybe more.
The gray filly at the colt's side stepped forward.
I don't think I like your attitude, Pegasus.
Oh yeah? What are you gonna do about it?
The gray earth pony bent at the knees, then whipped her head to her flanks. In another eye blink, the sharp, cold steel of a spear tip was vibrating gently an inch from Dash's eyes. The sky blue Pegasus reared back in shock, stepping rapidly away from the weapon in the gray pony's mouth. In another moment, she was angry again, more angry than before. She flapped her wings and lifted off the ground, then began to beat them in wide circles. A light breeze was whipped up inside the circle of ponies.
Hold on now.
Applejack came quickly between them. She sat back on her haunches. With one free front hoof, she pushed Dash back to the ground, and with the other, she lowered the gray pony's spear.
There ain't no need for us to go and get unfriendly. We're all ponies here, ain't we?
She smiled desperately at the 2 Dale ponies.
I think introductions are a fine idea, and being as how we're the guests in your land, we'll go first. I'm Applejack, this here's Rainbow Dash, and there's Rarity. Like you figured, we're from Equestria, specifically we hail from Ponyville, just on the other side of the mountains over yonder.
The dark red earth pony seemed to chew on his own teeth for a moment. Then his face lost some of its grim tightness.
I cannot see any harm in introductions. I am Ashtail, captain of the Dale Guard, and marshal of the Eastern Quarter. This is Shield Maiden, my lieutenant.
He nodded towards the gray filly. Shield Maiden gave the 3 equestrians a glare, but she pulled back her spear and returned it to its harness. Ashtail nodded again.
Now, tell us your business.
We're on a quest.
A quest?
And internet cut out for Razzle.
What Rainbow means is that we're on a very vital journey. One of our friends in Ponyville has become dangerously sick, and the only cure that can help her in this time is a plant that grows only in the Arcbat Mountain. Which of course means we have to cross your kingdom.
And it looks like Razzle's returned. She finished with a simple, toothless smile and a flutter of her eyelashes. Anything more coquettish was liable to annoy this very grim pony. Ashtail furrowed his brow.
We were not informed that any equestrian ponies would be passing through Gildedale.
It was kinda spur of the moment.
Spur of the moment is not what I want to hear. We do not allow equestrian ponies to cross our land without our consent. Why were we not informed of this journey? A pronghorn should have been sent.
What now?
A message should have been sent from your ruler to ours. Trespassers are not permitted in Gildedale.
We ain't trespassing, we just want to cross to the Archback Mountains. Our friend really needs it.
Be that as it may, I cannot simply take your word for it, without permission from the Lord of the Dale. No equestrian pony is allowed in Gildedale, and even if you had permission, 2/3 of your party would not be allowed in under any circumstances. The Pegasus and the Unicorn are not welcome.
What?
Good heavens, what have you against unicorn?
We don't want your magic here, most of all. No more than innate earth pony magic is wanted in Gildedale. The magic of the unicorns and the Pegasuses.
Pegasi!
Ashtail and Shield Maiden drew back. Around the circle, some of the Dale Guard bent their necks back, ready to grab their spears. The rest of them stared wide-eyed at Rarity. She smiled toothily and looked around nervously.
oh my, forgive me. Just being a grammar nightmare. Carry on, it's no.
The magic of the unicorns and the Pegasi would overwhelm our kingdom and our way of life. So we do not permit it. That is part of the treaty we made with the Sun Queen.
You mean Princess Celestia?
We did read that there was a treaty of friendship between Equestria and Gildedale.
It is a treaty of allegiance, not friendship, and it was ratified about 100 years ago. The Sun Queen wanted to claim the Drakenridge Mountains as equestrian territory. We agreed on the condition that her 2 more magical breeds of subjects be banned from Gildedale, and she agreed in return. We honor her for raising our son each day, but that is the extent to which we need her land and its magics.
Nothing wrong with Pegasuses.
Rarity's eye twitched, but she held her tongue.
Not in your country, perhaps.
Look at your rain. What about your snow? What about your wind?
We take what the world gives us, and we endure it. That is our freedom.
Ashtail shook his head.
I'm wasting time debating this. You can go no further. Turn back now, and we won't take you into custody.
Applejack's temper suddenly triggered.
We ain't going nowhere but forward. Our friend needs this plant or she might die.
You have no way of proving that to me?
We have dragon fire.
Rarity used her magic to open her saddlebag and pull out the glass bottle with Spike's fire. She noticed that Ashtail's eyes widened as she did. He was clearly unused to telekinesis.
This was given to us by a dragon on a royal retainer from Princess Celestia herself. It can transmit messages instantly to and from the dragon that breathed it. Why would we be carrying it if we didn't need to send something back home quickly? Good sir, we are not liars, we are in desperate need.
Ashtail trained his eye on the bottle of swirling purple-green fire. His lip curled as though he were tasting something unpleasant.
This might prove your case.
His blue eyes grew hard again.
But it just as easily connotes sinister motives. We do not write much down in Gildedale, but we do send communication back and forth between the quarters, especially concerning the Dale Guard. A single slip of paper could contain the linchpin of our God's movements throughout the kingdom, and you could send it to your Sun Queen with a flicker of flame, you say? A fine device in advance of an invasion, cloaked in a story calculated to play our heartstrings.
Applejack reached a level of rage she hadn't experienced in years, not since her parents had died. The image of Twilight suffering and dying because of this cult burned into her mind and drove her temper to towering heights. And he thought she wasn't telling the truth. She, who held honesty so dearly.
We ain't lying. I can't believe y'all think we're lying. I keep telling you, this is a matter of life and death. So y'all have 2 choices. Get out of our way or get out them spears.
She launched herself forward a single step, snorting thickly from her nostrils. Ashtail flew back a few paces at her ferocity. Rainbow Dash and Rarity were almost equally shocked, but the sky blue Pegasus summoned her own anger. She rose into the air again, and again she beat her wings in a circle, whipping up a breeze that tousled the manes of the assembled ponies. Ashtail collected himself quickly. His blue eyes softened. He blinked.
Please calm down. I did not mean to inspire such fury.
He tilted his head to the side a bit as he looked at her, his eyes now keen and calculating.
My mother once said to me that one can take the true measure of a pony if one sees them in a rage. Your anger is real, and it can't have come from our rudeness.
He walked a few steps closer to Applejack and spoke very softly.
You are genuinely frightened, aren't you? Frightened for your friend.
Applejack closed her eyes and willed herself to calm down. She really didn't want to fight, but she so desperately wanted Twilight to be all right. Her green eyes gazed intently into his blue ones.
I am. I'm so scared we won't be able to help her in time. Please let us cross. Please let us help her.
Ashtail cast a glance to his right, towards Shield Maiden. She'd remained still and neutral through the whole exchange, the image of a cool and calm number one, in stark contrast to her initial outburst. However, her green eyes, so much like Applejack's, were wavering with emotion. She gave Ashtail a sidelong glance, and her stern face eased a bit. The dark red earth pony sighed for what seemed like the thousandth time.
You at least deserve a chance to state your case. Please forgive our shortness. We are all on edge. You have come at the most dangerous time of our year. The Kamagas have begun their annual run.
What's a Kamaga?
As if on cue, a long, rolling howl flowed across the plains, chilling the spine of every pony that heard it. Ashtail saw his Dale guard begin to fidget.
Steady.
He fixed Rarity with a gaze.
That is a Kamaga.
He turned sharply around and addressed a black pony with an orange mane.
Sharp sound. How do you reckon?
The pony narrowed his violet eyes and swiveled his unusually long ears every which way.
From the east. About 12 miles away.
Let's hope they don't head our direction.
Dale Guard, assemble!
The ponies circling the three travelers broke apart, lurching to the left and beginning to form back into rows. Ashtail turned back towards Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash.
I want to believe you're telling the truth, but the decision to allow you passage is not mine to make. Here is what I can offer. You will come with us. You will follow us to my fastness of Greyzild, and there you will pass the night. In the morning we shall escort you to Thatchholm, our capital. There, amid the timbered court, you may plead your case to Lord Hammerhoof. If, and only if he permits it, you will be allowed to cross the remainder of Gildedale. If he denies you passage, a legion of the Dale Guard will escort you back to the Drakenridge Mountains. That is your only hope for forward progress. I suggest you take it.
It sounds like a long trip out of our way.
Ashtail shook his head.
The Arkbacks are beyond our western border. Grazelzeld is to the west of here, and Thatchholm is further west still. It lies in the center of Gildedale. You'll travel the same direction you were going to travel to begin with.
Rarity quickly jerked the sky blue Pegasus's neck around.
Do give us a moment, sir.
She used her other hoof to corral Applejack. A huddle was formed.
Hurry.
It seems to be our only choice, unless either of you have a better idea.
Rainbow Dash?
I heard her for a second. She may have cut
out. Bottom of page 25.
There's too many of them to fight.
I don't want to go fighting, and I don't like being ordered around. But if we're still gonna be heading west, I don't see no harm in going with these ponies. At least for a while.
Dash looked like she wanted to argue, but seeing the minds of her companions made up, she lowered her head and grimaced.
Fine. Even though there's no way around these ground-bound ponies could hold me, I guess we could follow your boyfriend for a while, AJ.
Applejack gave Rainbow Dash such a glare that the sky blue Pegasus nearly jumped into the air.
Don't ever let me catch you saying that again, Rainbow Dash, or I will clip you.
Okay, sorry. Just having a little fun. You know, that thing we used to have but apparently don't anymore.
The three of them turned back to Ashtail.
We'll go with y'all.
Ashtail nodded.
Thank you.
He and Shield Maiden were the only ponies left near them. The rest of the Dale ponies had reformed their orderly rows.
You'll ride up front with Shield Maiden and I. Our pace will be brisk, so keep up. We won't slow down for you. We must clear this area quickly before the Kamegas arrive.
Come.
The three equestrian ponies fell into line behind her and Ashtail. They trotted along the lines of Dale Guard to the head, where they slotted themselves in front of the front row of the three ponies. Rarity was beginning to feel nervous. She had no idea how fast these Dale ponies typically traveled.
It can't be faster than Applejack and Rainbow Dash's pace yesterday, can it?
Dale Guard, move out!
With that, he began to gallop, Shield Maiden right at his side. Rainbow Dash, Applejack, and Rarity followed suit, and behind them each row began to move in its time. In short order, the enormous procession was galloping swiftly across the golden plains. Thankfully, the next sequence of howls they heard were further in the distance, behind them. They barely perceived them over the thunder of hoofbeats around them. Rarity galloped as fast as she could. The ponies around her moved nearly as fast as Applejack and Rainbow Dash had moved at their fastest, and her muscles were starting to finally feel the soreness they'd earned the previous day. An hour into the journey, she found herself falling back from her friends, only to bump into the nose of a brown earth pony.
Keep up, Unicorn!
She barked at her with such ferocity, she was frightened back to a faster pace.
Stupid, nasty Dale ponies. Why couldn't we just have been ignored? How do they know about us anyway?
Applejack was on the left side of their small row, Rarity in the center, and Rainbow Dash on the right. Ashtail was also on the left, and the orange earth pony picked up her pace enough to break her row and come up alongside him.
Can I ask you a question?
Ashtail didn't look at her.
I'm listening.
I saw some weed a ways back there.
Did you touch it?
No. Is it yours?
It is. There are fields of wheat all across Gildedale, along with patches of potatoes, carrots, and many other plants amid the grasses.
Applejack smiled.
So y'all do farm. I'm a farmer myself, apples mostly, and
Don't slacken, keep up. We have a ways to go yet, and we must reach Gildedale before sundown.
He turned his head back to the front and said no more. Applejack raised her eyebrow at him. Just then she had glimpsed something beneath his harsh demeanor, something proud without being brash. And she had learned that at least they farmed in Gildedale, though not the sort of farming she was used to. That made her feel better. She was convinced she could reason with a pony that knew the earth and growing things. A little while later,
Daleguard, hail!
at his command, the century of earth ponies began to slow its pace, like a gradually decelerating train, until it finally stopped, still neatly arranged in rows.
Silence.
What little chatter there was stopped completely. The dark red earth pony raised his ears and swiveled them. Sharp Sound, one of the three ponies just behind Applejack and her friends, did the same. Ashtail turned around.
Sharp Sound, do you hear anything?
Black earth pony didn't answer immediately, focused as he was on listening. But he soon looked his captain in the eye.
No, Captain. We appear to have passed them.
Captain, I believe that's Elroth up there.
She nodded past Ashtail up in the sky. Ashtail looked in that direction, as did Shield Maiden, Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash. Amid the increasingly orange-streaked sky, a dark shape swooped in long, large loops.
So it would seem. Birdspeak, go get his report.
The brown earth pony galloped away from the guard, beginning to whistle strangely as she did so. The dark shape in the air banked to the right and flapped its wings, headed in the pony's direction. When it was close enough, Rainbow Dash saw that it was a hawk, dark brown with a golden beak. Birdspeak halted and held up a front leg. The hawk gently descended and perched itself upon the earth pony's foreleg. Birdspeak bent her head towards the great bird of prey.
I suppose that's how they spotted us. If they can talk to the birds here, they have eyes in the sky.
In a moment, Aileroth flapped his wings and took off, pumping into the late afternoon sky. Birdspeak trotted back to the guard.
The way is clear for miles yet, as Elroth sees it. There are some Kamagas to the southwest, but they're not headed anywhere near our direction.
That is good. Fall in.
Birdspeak retook her place in a row behind the 3 equestrian ponies.
Move out.
They began to gallop again. Evening wore on quickly. Applejack kept her eyes on the horizon, and as the sun turned orange, the relentlessly empty landscape was finally disrupted. At the edge of her sight, she saw a small protrusion from the fields, a slightly pointed speck. As the evening wore on, it grew larger, taller, broader. It began to resemble a house.
That thing out there, is that your home?
That is Greyzaled. We're almost there. Dale Guard, double time.
The earth ponies quickened their pace. Even Applejack had to struggle to keep up with the swift gallop, which was almost a full run. Rarity was breathing hard, sweat streaking off her white coat. Rainbow Dash did a bit better, being lighter and having more stamina, but she wished she were flying now. The speck on the horizon rapidly grew larger. It swelled dramatically as the minutes advanced, and suddenly it wasn't a speck at all. It was actually a barn. It sat on an enormous raised foundation of heavy gray stones, which spanned more than a dozen acres and rose high off the ground. At the top the platform was flat, and the barn there was equally enormous, dwarfing the red barn at Sweet Apple Acres. It was at least 10 times larger, towering over the fields. It was constructed of thick, rough-hewn timbers, sturdy pillars of full tree trunks built into the sides to hold up the walls and support the enormous wood-plated roof. At least a dozen chimneys sprouted from this roof, a few here and there emitting tendrils of smoke. The barn even appeared to be 2-storied. There were platforms protruding from the roof, and a large round window of thick, leaded glass seemed to reveal an upper level as the dying light shone through it. There was a ring of copper around the window, and a copper trim around the edge of the roof like the fringes of grass turned upside down. At the front and back of the roof, thin poles rose, and on each a flag flew, a triangle of dark red with the bundled golden grass in the center. The sun had nearly set by the time they reached the large wooden gates at the base of the barn's foundation. 2 Dale ponies in full armor stood at attention on either side, wearing iron collars attached to thick ropes that were in turn tied to one of the gate doors.
Dale Guard, whoa.
The ponies, in his wake, slowed to a trot. When they were closing in on the gates, Ashtail yelled again.
Greyzale Guard, the Marshal of the East returns.
Posted earth ponies began to advance away from the gate on the left and the right, pulling hard at the collars around their necks. The 2 gates yawned open slowly, revealing a stone ramp leading up to the level foundation.
Heel.
The Dale Guard halted just before the opening gates. When they were fully opened, Ashtail addressed the gate guards.
The fastness of Greyzaled is retired for the evening. Greyzaled Guard, retire and the gates of Greyzaled. Dale Guard, advance.
He trotted forward, shield maiden at his side, the equestrian ponies and his Dale Guard in his wake. They pounded up the stone ramp and emerged atop the foundation of Greyzeld, which provided a grand panorama of Gildedale's golden fields around them, now turning dull in the darkening night. As the last of the Dale Guard passed the gates, the two guarding earth ponies came up the ramp, pulling the wooden gates shut behind them. Applejack winced as loud twin bangs signaled the barring of the entrance for the night. There would be no going out that way, not without permission.
Dale Guard, heel!
He and Shield Maiden turned to face the rows of armored earth ponies.
The day's patrol is done. Dale Guard, dismissed!
At this, the Dale ponies finally broke their rigid formation. A number of them began to trot towards the large open doors of the barn. Some of them gathered in groups of 3 or 4 and began to talk amongst themselves. A few wandered towards the edges of the foundation, gazing out across the plains as stars began to appear in the night sky.
My goodness, I'm absolutely exhausted.
Ashtail raised an eyebrow.
I suggest you get some sleep tonight then. We must ride as hard tomorrow to reach Thatchholm. Shield Maiden, our guests have traveled far and ridden hard. See that they get something to eat.
Yes, Captain.
Oh, so now we're guests.
Rainbow.
I'll check in on you in a while later. I have duties to attend to.
With that, the dark red earth pony turned and trotted into Greyzeld, quickly lost in the milling of the ponies around him. Shield Maiden stepped up to Rainbow Dash. The sky blue Pegasus tensed, unsure how to take this sudden closeness, but her green eyes were bright.
I apologize for my brusqueness earlier. It is my duty to protect the captain from threats and from slight. I could not let an offense of his honor go unchecked.
And Rainbow Dash replied,
Sure, that's okay. I guess it's okay. Anyway,
Shield Maiden turned back towards the doors of Greyzeld.
Come, dinner should be just about on. Let's see what the cooks have for you lot.
She trotted towards the double doors. The 3 equestrian ponies followed. The interior of Greyzeld was a vast, open space, thick pillars of dark wood holding up a tall ceiling that stretched over a great communal hall. In the middle, a large fire burned in a raised pit of stone. There were rough cloth couches gathered around it, on which Dale ponies lounged. There were similar couches scattered randomly throughout the commons, clearly meant to be moved at will. The pillars they passed were decorated with striking abstract carvings, stained dark green and dark red and gold. The floor beneath them was stone, though it was frequently covered with carpets and mats of every shape, size, and pattern. At the very back of the hall, 2 great doorways led off to the left and to the right. Between them was a raised slab of stone, upon which a couch reinforced with wood backing was placed. Behind the couch was a pillar of wood, at the top of which was a larger version of the golden compass with the silver arrow that Ashtail wore in his champron. Shield Maiden led Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow Dash to the right, past the dais and through a short, twisty hallway. They emerged in a large mess hall, where long wooden tables were laid in boards, with long benches on either side. At the back wall, an open window offered a glimpse of a large, dimly lit kitchen, where wood fires burned both in ovens and open pits, and large iron cauldrons bubbled with something sweet-smelling. There were already many Dale ponies gathered around the tables, eating from stone bowls, talking, laughing. Shield Maiden led the 3 equestrians past them, toward the kitchen window.
Kit Cauldron, I have 3 hungry ponies here. What have you for them?
A lean, angular earth pony with a white coat looked over at her, an apron wrapped around his body.
Carrot soup. We got plenty of fresh grain in today, so I have bread aplenty as well.
Red?
Rainbow Dash shot past Shield Maiden with a burst of her wings. She hovered in front of the kitchen window and pounded her hooves eagerly on the kitchen counter.
I am so craving some bread right now.
Kit Cauldron's eyes nearly bugged out of his head. Many of the nearby Dale ponies were likewise astounded at the Pegasus in her flight, and some were annoyed, given that Dash had jumped ahead of a long line.
Rainbow, get back here. It ain't our turn yet.
Dash glanced to her left, noticing the line. She smiled sheepishly, waved a hoof at the ponies in the queue.
Sorry, every pony. Didn't mean to cut.
She flapped slowly back to her friends. Shield Maiden was gazing with a smaller level of amazement, but amazement all the same.
Sorry about that, Shield Maiden.
Rainbow can get a bit impatient when it comes to food.
Dash stuck her tongue out at the orange earth pony. Shield Maiden smiled slowly.
I understand. No harm done. And you put on a bit of a show.
What, me?
Most of us here have never seen a Pegasus pony before.
Oh, you thought that was a show just now? Trust me, that was nothing. I'll put on a real show sometime.
Saying nothing, Shield Maiden led them to the end of the line for food. It moved quickly, and in little time they took up wooden trays in their mouths, upon which bowls of soup and loaves of bread were placed. Rarity opted to carry hers with her magic, which produced another outbreak of wide-eyed staring. The white unicorn brushed back her curled violet mane with a hoof and fluttered her long eyelashes. This earned her a shove in the rump from Applejack with her tray.
Come on, Rarity. Don't be a show-off.
Rarity huffed and followed Shield Maiden to the end of one of the tables, where they sat on the benches.
You all go ahead and eat. I need to get my armor off. I'll rejoin you in a moment.
She trotted off and out of the mess hall. A Dale pony with a tray on his back passed by the trio. The tray had several large brown loaves on it.
Brad?
Yeah.
Rainbow Dash said extremely quietly, apparently. She was already slurping up her soup. The Dale pony set the large loaf in the middle of their trays, and instantly the sky blue Pegasus picked it up with both hooves and shoved one end of it into her mouth.
Rainbow Dash!
Rarity used her magic to yank the loaf out of Dash's mouth.
I will not have you or any of us forgetting our table manners, especially not now that we have a table at which to exercise them.
The white unicorn focused her magic and tore off a chunk from the end that had been in Dash's mouth.
We don't appear to have a bread knife, so tearing is acceptable, if regrettable. Etiquette. Trying to swallow the bread that is meant for everyone in one gulp like a snake is not polite in the least.
Dash crossed her legs childishly over her chest.
Fine.
She picked up the hunk of bread and shoved it in her mouth, chewing with her mouth open.
You are hopeless, Rainbow.
You know, if you spend so much time worrying about how to eat the food, you don't enjoy it.
That is not true at all.
Applejack rolled her eyes at the exchange. She took off her hat and picked up her soup bowl between both hooves, tipping it towards her mouth and beginning to sip.
This is great.
The soup was sweet without being too sugary, hearty without being too thick. The bread, which she bit a chunk off of moments later, was equally satisfying. Not fancy, of course, but simple and delicious and filling. Rarity agreed.
My, this is wonderful, and such a lovely break from all that grass we've been eating. All things considered, and setting aside from the fact that we were brought here against our will, I think we've had a stroke of good luck.
These Dale ponies are being hospitable enough, and that's for sure. But I don't like our chances of making it with this Lord Hammerhoof to see our side of things.
That Ashtail pony seems like he could be reasoned with.
Yeah, I was like a decent fellow once he stops being gruff and mean. But, like he said, it ain't up to him. And if this Lord Hammerhoof is the one who set up those rules about trespassers, he's gonna be a hard one to convince.
Rainbow Dash finally swallowed her bread in one massive gulp.
Well, I think we should be prepared to make a break for it. If these ponies won't let us go, we gotta be prepared to force our way out.
Easier said than done, Rainbow. Not all of us can fly.
I wish I could teleport.
Rarity? None of that. We'll figure something out, even if need be. Rainbow can go on alone.
Dash's rose eyes widened.
I thought you said.
I did. That was before all of this. Things get desperate, and desperate measures may be needed.
Dash set her mouth in a grim line. She looked Applejack straight in the eye and saw the seriousness there. She nodded.
Okay, but let's hope we don't have to do that, right?
Now that she was confronted with the reality of what she had thought in her head, she liked it less than ever. She didn't want to leave her friends behind.
Let's hope.
Enjoying the food?
Turning, they saw Shield Maiden. Without her armor, her gray coat gave off a fine sheen, surprising for the ruggedness of her country. And on her flank,
You have a cutie mark!
there was an image of a heater shield on each of her flanks, colored gold and dark red.
Of course I do. I am a pony, am I not?
We weren't sure if ponies in Gilderdale got cutie marks. I must say I'm surprised as well. It is a bit magical, I think, for your kingdom's sensibilities, is it not?
Oh no, it's not magic. It's not a magic all ponies share. Natural. Not every Dale pony gets a cutie mark, but most do. Actually, we don't even get proper names until we have our cutie mark.
So, what are you called when you're young?
Filly or colt, and then described by our color. Of course, if a pony doesn't get their cutie mark, they're usually allowed to choose a name by the start of their first growth spurt. When we do get our marks, though, we usually name ourselves with the counsel of our parents and our quarter marshal. It's our duty to ensure that our name is both satisfying to us and informative to the ponies around us, so they know in what capacity they can rely on us in event of trouble.
So your name, Field Maiden, means that you are.
A warrior. I am a defender of pony and plot. I strive to be stout in the face of danger.
The three friends recalled her ferocity towards Rainbow Dash and could easily believe it. There were a few beats of silence.
What about Ashtail? His name doesn't say anything about his talents, it just describes his hair coloration.
The captain is distinct. He can tell you more about it if he chooses.
She trotted off.
I'm keeping you from your food and me from mine. I'll go get some soup and be back.
So what? Do they just call their foals "Hey you"? That's so lame.
I can see it making kind of sense, but I don't think it's right not to name a foal.
They seem to be just fine with it, if the fillies and colts we've met are any indication.
Field Maid's the only one we really talked to, and she barely said anything about herself. Plus, I don't buy her apology. She stuck her spear in my face. That filly is nuts.
Rainbow Dash, to be fair, we've all had less than glamorous moments. You've no right to judge a pony by how she behaves when she loses her temper.
Not what Ashtail says.
Well, I don't know how much I care for Ashtail, even if he is putting us up for the night.
You just said he was reasonable.
She felt compelled to defend the dark red earth pony, if for no other reason than his hospitality.
Reasonable? Yes. Right. That remains to be seen.
Shield Maiden chose that merciful lull in the conversation as her moment to reappear, carrying a tray in her mouth. She sat down beside Rarity and took a long pull of her soup. She blinked her green eyes and smiled apologetically.
I'm sorry, I don't know if you equestrian ponies give thanks to any gods.
I suppose we could, do you?
Sometimes. We do give thanks to the Sun Queen for moving the sun and
Actually, Princess Celestia doesn't move the moon anymore.
she doesn't. Then who or what does?
Her sister, Princess Luna. She's been gone for a while, but she's back now, and the moon was originally hers to begin with, so she's doing it again.
Shield Maiden's eyes went wide.
Great green earth, I didn't know the Sun Queen even had a sister.
It's a long story.
The three equestrian ponies shared a glance. They spent the remainder of the meal telling Shield Maiden a few things about Luna, without going into details of their quest for the elements of harmony. It was an unspoken agreement that their status as bearers of the elements were better off not being revealed. They didn't have worried. What they did tell Shield Maiden was enough to keep her engrossed as she ate.
That explains something that has puzzled us for more than a year. On last year's summer solstice, the night was much longer than it should have been. We even woke up to darkness, and this was caused by this dark moon goddess?
That's right. Not Mare Moon. But she's all gone now. Princess Luna's right as rain again.
Pushed herself back from the table and rolled off onto her hooves.
I would love to hear more, but we can't tarry. I suspect there's more to do before we are to bed for the night. Please, take your trays back to the kitchen window with
She picked up her tray in her mouth, and the others followed suit, Rarity even opting to do the work manually. When they exited the mess hall, they found Ashtail waiting for them. He had discarded his armor as well, and his gray dappled mane fell thick across his neck. He was not quite as imposing without his armor, but he was still tall, and his muscles were on better display.
That was a long supper.
Forgive me, Captain.
No harm done. There's a common bed on the upper floor that's currently not in use, 6th room in the left wing. You'll be sleeping there tonight. But first, I point out again that tomorrow we must ride long through land where the Komagas are running. So, Shield Maiden, if you would, take our guests down to the armory and see if there is anything available for them to outfit themselves with.
Yes, Captain. Follow me.
Rarity, Rainbow Dash, and Applejack past Ashtail and headed across the hall to the doorway on the left side of the stone dais. As they walked past him, Applejack glanced to the side. His flank wasn't bare, but for a moment she was confused. It seemed as though he was still wearing his armor, and not just because his coat was nearly the same color as the dark red boiled leather. On his flank was a design of branching golden grass, cinched in the middle by a band. The same symbol was on the cruppers of every Dale Guard pony's armor. It took her a moment to realize that that was his cutie mark.
His cutie mark is the symbol of Gildedale? What does that mean?
Turning through the doorway, they went down a short hall that descended on a stone ramp, cutting into the foundation of the great barn. They shortly emerged in a large room with high stone walls. Numerous shelves lined the walls, along with a vast number of chests, with a few heavy drawers, and toward the back, a great number of small stalls. Applejack trotted towards them. In each stall was a wooden shape on a pole, with a body roughly like a pony's torso. It took the orange earth pony a moment to realize what they reminded her of. They were like cruder versions of Rarity's mannequins, harder and less complete.
I'm afraid all of our armor is currently in use. We have none to spare. But as for armaments...
She trailed off and trotted to the other side of the ramp. She sat back on her haunches and used her front hooves to open a large wooden chest. Digging through it briefly, she dunked her head in and came out with something shiny and sharp in her mouth.
You there, Earth Pony. Applejack, was it?
That's right.
You mentioned you worked on a farm. Have you ever used a hoof axe before?
You're sure for chopping wood.
Here.
Tossed something that fell at Applejack's hooves. It had a leather binding wound with a cord meant to tighten around a pony's foreleg. Attached to the other side was an axe blade. Applejack was quite familiar with hoof axes, having used them often for farm work, but this was made of stouter leather and had much thicker head than anything she was used to back home. The steel appeared to be denser, and the edge was noticeably sharper.
You may need to chop something else tomorrow.
Applejack stepped back sharply from the weapon.
I don't go in for killing.
Shield Maiden gave her a grim look.
It's not a matter of what you... The Kamagos are vicious and bloodthirsty. And blood. If you're not prepared to defend yourself, you will be easy prey. You, Rainbow Dash, do you need anything?
Well,
She wasn't used to thinking about this at all. She quickly put on a brave face.
no, I'm a Pegasus. We can control the weather. Anything messes with me, I'll hit it with a tornado.
She thumped her chest. Shield Maiden gave her a look.
I forgot. You could just drop a lightning bolt on something, right?
Dash's ears flattened against her head.
Can't exactly do lightning,
She immediately made herself look confident.
but I can do wind and rain, no problem.
Fair enough. You, Unicorn. I suppose you have magic to defend you?
Rarity's mouth fell open. She took a few steps back.
Sorry. That is, my magic isn't terribly aggressive.
Then, let me see if I can find something that will fit you.
She rummaged through the chest again. Rarity's blue eyes went wide.
Please, that's not really necessary. I have no interest in taking part of any fight.
Shield Maiden said nothing. Pulling out of the chest, she went to a stack of shelves and began to peer deep at each level, standing on her hind legs to reach the highest shelf.
Please, Shield Maiden, darling, don't go to this trouble on my account. I wouldn't know the first thing to do with a weapon.
Shield Maiden moved on to the second batch of shelves. She rummaged through them with hooves and mouth, the noise of shifting instruments making it plain that she was finding things, but not what she sought.
Now, Miss Shield Maiden, I must insist.
Ooh, what do we have here?
The gray earth pony had reached her head deep into a lower shelf. She was tugging hard at something. With a sharp pull, she yanked her head out, and with it, something long and brilliant.
Here's a pretty jewel of death for a fancy battle maiden.
She dropped it from her mouth to the ground. It was a blade, about 1.5 feet long. It had a gracefully curved edge, heavier at the tip than at the mount. Leather straps extended from the base, long and supple. The base seemed to be hollow, and it was clear, translucent. It wasn't metal at all. It rather appeared to be made of glass or crystal. Graceful lines of gold filigree stretched up its sides, like the thin tendrils of infant vines. Even Rarity was momentarily transfixed by its elegance.
I don't know what this is doing here. Perhaps it was a gift to some ancient quarter-marshal? It's clearly meant for a unicorn. See how it's supposed to fit over a horn?
She turned the base towards them with her nose, displaying its hollowness.
Moreover, I don't think it's pony make. It looks deerish. It's perfect for your delicate sensibilities. Go on, try it on.
She grinned at Rarity. Rarity stared unblinking at the horn blade for a moment. Then she jerked back as if she had been struck.
No, absolutely not.
Shield Maiden gritted her teeth.
My orders are to arm you all. Please, take it.
No, no, no. I'm not about to strap a blade to my horn and go swing it about like some bloodstained barbarian.
If you are not prepared to fight tomorrow, you open yourself to death. We cannot protect you in the chaos of an attack. You must be able to fend for yourself.
I don't want to kill anything.
What if you have no choice?
I am a fashion designer.
Rarity was panicking, beating her front hooves rapidly on the stone floor. Her eyes were wide. Tears began to stream down her cheeks.
I make and sell dresses. Dresses, please, don't ask me to kill. Please, I can't.
Applejack ran a hoof down Rarity's withers, but the white unicorn flinched away from her touch. She lowered her head and began to sob, her tears spattering on the floor. Rainbow Dash felt powerless to help her. Applejack knew she should say something, but couldn't find her voice. Shield Maiden did not flinch.
Then why are you here?
Because my friend is hurt. She was hurt trying to help me. I have to help. I have to. Even if it means going on a beastly journey, I don't want her to die.
She was crying harder now. Shield Maiden tilted her head gently to the side. With the softest of hoof falls, she stepped slowly towards Rarity. She was very close when she reached out a hoof and stroked the white unicorn's cheek. Her green eyes lost all their hardness.
Shh, dry your tears. Can I tell you a secret?
She lifted Rarity's chin with her hoof, making Rarity look into her eyes.
Come now, let me tell you a secret.
Rarity sniffed loudly, blinking hard to stop the tears from flowing. She worked hard to get her breathing under control. Shield Maiden smiled gently at her.
I hate it. I hate it. So does the captain. So do all of us. If you enjoy the spilling of blood, you don't get to be in the Dale Guard.
She moved right against Rarity, leaning her head against the white unicorns.
We're ponies. We're not wolves. We're not griffins. We're not dragons. We are not meant to enjoy the taking of life.
She leaned closer against Rarity. Rarity began to unconsciously match her breathing to Shield Maiden's.
But in this land there are forces that would destroy the ponies and the places we love. And because we love them, we are willing to sacrifice for them, even to do things that repulse us, even give our own lives for theirs.
She pulled her head away and looked again into Rarity's eyes.
Do you love your friend?
If by love you mean.
Does it make you happy to know that she lived?
Yes, it does. I do love her.
Then trust your love for her. Let it guide what you feel. Love will give you courage, Madam Rarity. It will give you all courage.
She glanced at Applejack and Rainbow Dash. The sky blue Pegasus was fighting back sobs.
Love will let you do what you think you cannot do. It does for me.
Rarity sniffed again. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hoof. Using her magic, she levitated the horn blade up onto her horn, slotting the hollow base around the base of her horn. It fit snugly, indeed. It seemed to tighten as she wore it, as if by magic. Yet it easily loosened when she pulled it off again.
It fits.
Pray to your sun queen and your moon princess that you don't fear not.
Rarity smiled. She laughed with nervous giddiness.
That seems to be what I learn every week. I suppose the lesson takes a while to stay.
Tilting her head to the side, she focused her gaze on Shield Maiden's white mane, flowing in a wave across her neck. When the gray earth pony had nuzzled her close, she had felt it against her coat and been struck by its softness.
Shield Maiden, your mane is lovely. It's so thick and full-bodied. Do you braid it?
Shield Maiden looked slightly ashamed. She glanced away.
When I have time, it's a vanity, I know.
Nonsense. Looking good is as important as fighting for those you love. Really, deep down, it's quite similar. And since you don't seem to use magic, I'm guessing you've never had a unicorn braid your hair.
No.
Well, you must let me at it. Do you have anything more to do tonight?
My duties are finished when you have all been armed.
Well then, I shall take this.
Levitated the horn blade into her tail and snared it with the curled violet hair.
And consider myself armed. Now come on, let's find a coach and a mirror and get to work.
She trotted around the corner and up the ramp towards the main hall.
Will you two be all right?
Applejack nodded and tipped her hat.
I'll be fine, miss. Thank you.
Think nothing of it. It's not the first time I've given that talk. And you, Rainbow Dash?
Rainbow Dash shook her head vigorously.
You're awesome.
Shield Maiden nodded and parted from them. She trotted back up the ramp just as Rarity cried out.
Shield mating, darling. Are you coming?
Applejack smiled.
I reckon I like that shield maiden gal.
She and Rainbow Dash ascended the ramp. When they returned to the main hall, they found a small congregation of Dale ponies clustered around the central fire.
I'm gonna go lay down for a bit.
I'm gonna go wander around outdoors, if I'm permitted anyway. I've been wondering about the grounds of the barn and what's out there.
The orange earth pony trotted off into the now dim space between the pillars. The sky blue Pegasus trotted towards the fire. The earth ponies turned their heads at her approach.
Any room to pull up a couch?
A dappled orange pony scooted to his right to make room for her, and she plopped down in their midst, her pastel coloration a striking departure from the rich earth tones of the Dale ponies. A few minutes passed in silence before a chestnut Dale pony spoke.
Are all Pegasuses like you?
Dash thought for a minute.
How do I answer that?
She decided to brag.
Well, all Pegasus ponies can fly, sure, but not every Pegasus pony is as fast and cool as I am.
Cool. What does cool mean?
It means, um, it means, it means when you're really good at what you do and best, and every other pony knows it just by looking at you.
Ah,
Cream-colored filly spoke up next.
So how much cooler are you than the typical Pegasus?
Well, I'd say the average Pegasus is about 80% as cool as me.
Applejack found that she had been allowed outside rather easily. There weren't even guards at the gates of the barn, though they had been closed and it had taken a bit of work to open them. The moon shone brightly overhead, casting the fields around Greyzeld in brilliant silver. She looked out, and for miles all she could see was silver rippling in the wind. It was beautiful in that same stark, lonely way that all of Gildedale was. She did like the place a lot more now that she knew its inhabitants had a high level of civilization, even if it was concentrated in this one place. Wandering along the foundation, she noticed small gardens of plants, neatly arranged in rows or curling up little ladders. She bent close to one and sniffed. It was a pungent odor, and a familiar one.
Herbs.
Turning, she saw Ashtail standing patiently nearby.
All of them medicinal. We grow them here because we can't do so out on the fields. They need more attention and care.
Applejack smiled.
Y'all are a lot more sophisticated than I gave you credit for. That's for sure. I didn't know what to expect when I came here.
Ashtail began to walk past her. She fell in at his side.
I've never been to Equestria. I'm told there are cities there? Places where there are many buildings gathered all together.
There's plenty of cities. Big cities, small cities, little towns, huge castles. Got the whole package.
The dark red earth pony glanced out across the fields.
I would love to see that someday.
Well, what's stopping you? If we ain't like you folk, we don't ban any pony from traveling through Equestria, unless y'all are banned on this side.
We are not banned from leaving Gildedale, but Lord Hammerhoof has decreed that we should avoid it as a matter of courtesy and honesty. If we forbid equestrian ponies from traveling across Dalaran, but travel across theirs with impunity, are we not the hypocrites?
Maybe that rule about traveling needs to be changed.
This is not my decision to make. It has been talked of before, but Lord Hammerhoof is wise, and has ruled us well for years. There are a few left who question his judgment, even though he can be stubborn for all his wisdom.
The orange earth pony sat down on her haunches. After some hesitation, Ashtail joined her.
Why don't you talk to him about it? You seem to do a great job as marshal and captain. I bet he'd listen to you.
I couldn't. I wouldn't presume to correct him.
There was a hitch in his voice. Applejack recognized that hitch. It was the hitch in Applebloom's voice when she had done something wrong, and Applejack made her tell what it was. And Ashtail's cutie mark, the symbol that announced his defining skill, was the national symbol of Gildedale. It all suddenly clicked.
Lord Hammerhoof, he's your father, ain't he?
Ashtail narrowed his eyes.
I do not allow any pony to address me as prince.
Up on the second floor of the barn, in the 6th room on the left wing, Shield Maiden lay on a rough cloth mattress stuffed with grass. A mirror floated in the air nearby, while one last tress of her white mane was twisted and woven into itself. A few minutes later, Rarity cried.
And there we go.
She used her magic to float the mirror at an angle, permitting the gray earth pony to see her mane's 6 new braided tresses.
What do you think?
Shield Maiden smiled as she ran a hoof through the braids.
It's beautiful. Much tighter than I've ever managed to get it.
Magic, my dear. Though I can't take all the credit, you really have remarkable hair. And you don't even shampoo of it. It's a miracle of cosmetology.
Oh, my daughter is going to love it.
Rarity's blue eyes widened.
You have a daughter?
Oh, yes, I have a picture of her. Hold on.
She got up and left the room. Rarity waited, struggling mightily to process this new information. Shield Maiden had a daughter. She seemed so young, but it would explain why she had handled Rarity's cowardice so well. The gray earth pony returned, her green eyes bright, clutching a folded piece of paper in her mouth.
Oh, it's a drawing. I thought it would have been a photograph.
What's a photograph?
Well, it's very complicated. But is this a good drawing?
The best. One of my one of my friends from Greshaiken? That's the southern quarter's fastness. Sketched it in charcoal. She's the best artist I know. Here.
She unfolded the paper. It was a drawing in thick black lines of a young foal with a twist in her tail and a spit curl in her mane. She had a light gray coat and dark gray hair, while her eyes were a brilliant orange.
Isn't she wonderful?
She's lovely. She looks about the same age as my little sister.
Does she now? Speaking of ages, now that I think about it, we're about the same age, aren't we?
We are? When were you born?
Shield Maiden told her. It took them a moment to figure out ages because Gildedale's calendar was not quite like Equestria's, but it was close enough, and they rapidly determined the two of them were mere months apart.
My goodness, we are.
Kind of interesting, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
She looked away. In truth, it made her feel a strange sadness. Shield Maiden was Rarity's age, and she already had a foal, and presumably a husband. Perhaps they did things earlier here in Guildedale. It made sense, given how much less settled every pony seemed to be. Ponies were probably encouraged to grow up faster.
Oh, I'm just getting old. So, who's your father?
Oh, you met him today. Or at least you saw him today.
The long, rolling howl was muted by the thick wood of the walls, but it still cut straight to Rarity's spine. She winced as she heard it. Shield Maiden stiffened.
Close.
Those things, they can't get in here, can they?
The gray earth pony shook her head.
They don't seem to understand the concept of a gate. As long as it's closed, they see Graysheld's foundation as solid stone wall too high to scale. None of them have ever.
Outside, Applejack and Ashtail were on their feet. He scanned the fields intently.
Not far. I wonder if we can see them.
So, what are they?
Ashtail swiveled a blue eye at her.
According to our legends, they were dragons once, but long ago, when the world was young, they committed some terrible sin. As punishment, the dragon gods stripped them of their wings and their fire, and condemned them to wander the earth. Eons of wandering made their mindless, slavering beasts.
Applejack arched an eyebrow.
That's what your legends say?
It's about all we have. There is much we don't really know about them. Every spring, for 1 month, they run across the length of Gilderdale, and from the south to the north. We don't know where they come from. We don't know where they go. We don't know why they seem to make a single yearly trip. Why they don't come back the other way in the winter or fall. All we know is that they are large, stupid, and savage. They race across the fields and will tear anything apart, any pony, in their way.
Single month of pure destruction. Anything in their way destroyed.
So that's why y'all don't have no cities. It ain't just that y'all don't want to build. You can't.
Ashtail said nothing.
So just how big are they?
At least 10 times a typical Dale pony's size. They are enormous. It's difficult to put into words unless you've seen one.
But if they're so big, how do y'all fight them?
Ashtail smiled fiercely.
We are smarter than they are. We are faster, more maneuverable. We have weapons and they don't. And we can stand firm.
Applejack did not respond. She blinked a few times.
You know, stand firm.
She still said nothing. Now it was his turn to raise an eyebrow.
Does that mean nothing to you?
Ashtail shook his head.
I don't believe it. All the magic you experience in Equestria, everything we have banned here, and you don't know about the one kind of magic we permit. The magic common to all Earth ponies.
Well, I know Earth ponies are real strong, and I'm mighty proud of that. We're good at working the land with the plants.
And we can stand firm. When an Earth pony digs their hooves into the earth and stands firm, they cannot be moved and they cannot be broken. We draw strength from the land around us and remain steadfast against our foes. Just as the mountains do not crack against the wind and the snow, we do not break against their assault.
Applejack's eyes went wide. She had never heard about this.
Really?
Ashtail nodded.
Here, I'll show you. You said you were strong, yes?
Mighty strong.
Ashtail dug his hooves into the dirt, grinding them as far as he could into the packed soil of Greyzeld's foundation.
Try to push me over. Give me a shove.
Applejack shook her head. She wasn't entirely sure she believed him. She reared up on her back legs and pushed him, only to be pushed off him herself, sending her staggering back before she could regain her footing.
Try again. Harder.
Applejack backed up a few paces, pawed the earth with her hoof, and charged. She leaned her withers into a great forward push, but she bounced off of him, sending her tumbling to the ground.
Fuck me.
Applejack reared forward on her front legs, tensed every muscle in her body, and bucked. She bucked as hard as she possibly could, harder than she ever bucked during applebuck season, because bucking this hard could actually crack her apple trees at the trunk. Her back hooves sprang off of Ashtail's side, and she flipped once through the air at the sheer amount of force repelled back onto her. She rolled twice in the dirt before she stopped and swiveled back around. Ashtail had not moved an inch. He grinned at her.
I didn't even feel it. Was that the best you could do?
Applejack snarled, but she forced herself to not take the bait. He had proven his point. She got up to her hooves.
So all Earth ponies can do that.
Every one. At least here in Gildedale. I don't know if equestrian Earth ponies can do it.
I bet we can. Could you teach me?
Ashtail looked her up and down.
I don't know. Do you think you're up to it?
Applejack grinned.
I stood up to you, remember, boy. I made you blink.
I blinked because I wanted to.
Sure you did.
But you have the strength of spirit for it. That's for sure. Standing firm is about channeling that strength, making what's in your spirit come to your legs.
I'm ready to learn.
It could take some time.
We got all night, don't we?
So we do. Let's begin. And then Applejack and Ashtail were bucking all night.
I was trying to avoid that.
I was trying not to avoid that.
I figured.
I think you need to have some you time by yourself, like in away.
All I know is my voice bounced back and forth all the way around.
But there you have it. The second longest chapter of this story is now finally finished.
Yay!
The first longest chapter will be coming in 2 weeks.
Oh no.
Ruh-roh.
Yay!
It's only 1,000 words longer. This was 13.9 thousand words. Next week will be 15.1 thousand words.
That's
Wow,
not
that
too
really
bad.
was just one chapter all the way through. Oh god.
Yep.
Yeah, it was
I was,
just
I was
chapter
actually
8.
looking for a break.
It's like Fallout Equestria length chapters.
Not too
I was
many
about to
words.
say, it's like, wow, this is a pretty long one. We might not need an after party for this.
Sky Rays,
What?
I did not come here to be bullied.
Boy.
Are you sure you don't need the seatbelt?
But the main question is there more bucking in the next chapter?
So
Is it just going to get to
anyway,
the point where we all end up singing?
where did you come from?
No,
Where
there was
did you
no-
go? Where did you come from? Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah, I was waiting for Lycan to like really bust out into Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah, we were all feeling it.
Go.
And then
I
there was
was
that awesome
very
part where they
tempted to.
miss.
Wait.
There was the awesome part where they misspelled Q too. So instead of writing Q, they just wrote K.
Okay.
Okay.
Quesadilla.
Quesadilla.
Anyway,
K
don't
as
worry.
in
For the story, we only have 5 chapters that amount to 10,000 plus words. So we already took care of one of them.
That's good.
But we're going to be having 2 more of those chapters at back to back for the next few weeks. But we're only going to do like one of those chapters at a time.
It's okay. It's all about endurance. You just gotta keep going longer, last longer.
Harder, better, faster, stronger, do it faster, makes us better.
I was thinking of that song, yeah.
That don't kill me. Can only make me stronger.
Definitely introduced us to interesting concepts of what the Gildedale ponies are like.
Oh yes.
I really like it.
What's wrong
Yep.
with being a dragon?
Nothing.
You
They
could
enjoy
never eat
the
Taco
killing.
Bell.
Nothing, but dragons like to kill things.
Uh-huh.
We're
Like
hungry.
where they are with the phoenix eggs.
Unless you domesticate them like Spike.
Did somebody say something about killing things?
Oh no.
Yes.
You failed at the shotgun cop.
Here, I'll take care of it.
Good.
Never mind. Apparently, mine didn't even pick up either. What in the world is Discord doing?
Discord,
Discord
filtering
now
out
censoring
gun
gun
noises now.
sounds.
Discord apparently recognizes it.
Great. We have to. We have to. Well, stream got it at least for me. That's the important part. So great.
Here, let me get mine.
No, what in the world? I have it right next to the microphone. Hold on.
Nope, it's still nothing.
Dead silent.
R.I.P.
It just
What?
What? I am slamming the mag into this thing and it's not picking it up?
I was gonna say I'm literally right here. Wait, what if I talk at the same time while doing?
Yeah, that works. Yeah, that works.
Hold on, what happens if I shoot it?
I think
Let's
you
try
get
it.
kicked out of your apartment.
Well, we have proof, everyone. Skyrays is firing blanks. We didn't hear it.
Yes, I
That
know
is amazing. Wow.
Stream can hear it, but apparently Discord couldn't, which is really strange.
That is.
Maybe they put like a high pass filter on or something. I don't know.
That would be very specific. But
I think it's more so that Discord just has a machine learning AI that was trained to understand what speech patterns and sounds sound like, but
Probably.
tries to filter out everything else.
or it could be that they have a machine learning AI that just learned what all gun sounds sound like, and so they're censoring gun sounds.
Beep boop.
I mean, with how
beep,
many
boop.
times you cock your guns, you probably helped with that a lot.
They probably
I
have
would
mine
pull out-
like down to a science.
I would pull out
You
my
go out
weapon,
in the
but it
public
makes
and
it
you
ma-
cock it once. They know exactly where you are, who you are, your height, everything.
I would pull out my weapon, but it might make some jealous in here.
What? Oh.
Nobody wants to see your ugly gun. So yes,
Gonna beat someone with that ugly stick. Jesus.
but without further ado, it is time to end so we can get on to Skyray's wonderful after stream shenanigans.
I don't even know if there's gonna be much of an after party left. This was a long one.
I get
Yeah.
that said to me all the time.
Almost
So-
10:30 already.
So, anyways,
Boy, you're
Let
just
us-
one thirsty boy, aren't you? Like,
let us get out for shout outs. So, starting off, we'll start off with Commander something for shout outs.
Good night, everybody. Or good morning to whoever who's there. Yes.
Alrighty, and next up, Sora, shout outs. Or not.
Probably falling
hate
out of a
this.
chair again.
I hate this chair. I don't
You're
really have
Englishing
one.
again.
I look, leave me alone. I did not come here to be bullied.
Okay, can you explain how you actually fall out of a chair? I'm
Okay,
very
so I
curious.
was like leaning over like super like long ways and just like I was leaning over the arm and I just like kept going and I was like, oh wait, I got my part coming up next. Let me get back up. And then I said shit and then I tried to get back up and I almost
Do you need life alert?
no.
I spoke a fat pound of grass. and
I've done
all my
something
ass back in the
similar
fat
where
that
I
you sat
whipped the
down too
chair
fast.
to the ground with
Slim
me
Shady.
still inside of it.
Oh god.
Alrighty, and next up, shout outs for Lycan.
Yes, that was a long one. We definitely had a big one on our hands today, but I think we dealt with it quite good and beat it out quite well. So, congratulations, everyone, on a job well done.
Oh, do you hear that? That's the sound of our rating going down.
Alrighty, and shoutouts for Forrest.
Which one?
Rain.
I presumed double R, but cool.
Thank you for
shout
acknowledging
out-
my real name.
Yeah, you're welcome. Shout out to Pastor Lycan that suddenly made an appearance tonight during the reading. Really enjoy Lycan's American accent, but I feel like I'm in church when I listen to it.
You're most welcome about that one.
I just need Lycan to be like, believe on the Lord.
Believe on the Lord. I can rain radiance from above.
See what I mean?
Okay, now I hear it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I wasn't hearing it at all through the reading.
Why am I
And now
here?
you'll never forget it.
oh,
I asked
alrighty.
myself the same thing, Sora.
Alrighty, and shoutouts for Razzle.
Shoutouts to Duolingo for teaching me Scottish, even though I'm really bad at it.
Alrighty, and now on to double R.
Shoutouts to all of the shoutouts to what do I want to shout out to? I have no idea. I'm at a
Sora's
loss.
chat.
What?
Cookies?
Yeah.
I did not come here to be bullied.
Shout out to all the
Sick
all
of
the
it.
comic relief I've received from Sora's belittlement and Lycan and Skyrus' thirst.
Oh,
Can't have nothing in Detroit. God damn.
alrighty. And CMC shoutouts.
Fires, explosions, loss of venison jerky, LOE Roan. I don't know. That was a lot of reading, and my voice is feeling a bit weird. Just going up and down from the brusque low to the higher lighted voice that I did. I'm confused.
That's called a vocal workout.
Exactly.
Yes. Well,
It's
I
quite
hope
a
all of you.
mouthful.
I hope all of you guys enjoyed. And yes, we will be back next week with another wonderful Divinity stream. We finally got off of that accursed island of Fort Joy. Hopefully, we'll have a little bit more of a joyful time somewhere else.
We did not get off the island yet. We just entered.
We're still on the island.
Oh,
Yeah.
We're
fuck!
on the other side of the island.
we're still on that godforsaken island. We're just now on the part of the island where things that are trying to kill us aren't trying to kill us because we're different.
God damn it!
And
That was
isn't it great to be different?
No.
Ba-doom boom.
Being different is
Now
the
we're
worst
going to
thing
things that
ever.
want to
I
kill
hate
us
it.
because we're living.
Okay, look, I am over here and people are trying to turn me into smoked bone soup, okay? I'm just trying to survive.
Whoever
actually
wrote
seems spot on. They want to kill us because we're living.
who-
They don't like living.
whoever said that being different was a good thing is terrible.
It's worked out for me so far.
Yeah, it's worked
Sure.
out for me too.
Not for me. It's caused me nothing but pain and misery. But anyways, on that pain and misery, let's end this. So everybody say goodbye, I suppose.
Goodbye,
Hello.
everybody.
I
Yeah.
suppose.
Sayonara.
And stick around for the after party, which I muted chat before it could be mentioned with Skyrays. He's got something from behind.
see come between my love and me for as long as life endures. Till my love comes o'er the horizon, I will sing my song to when the sun comes o'er the horizon, I will sing my song.
I hope that all you guys enjoyed. It's been fun. Make sure to stick around for Magica 2 later on tonight with Skyrays and everybody else. It will be a fun time. So, with that, I wish y'all 10-7. I'm out. Bye bye.